afternoon. Visit their website at franklinhistoricalmuseum.org for details. A broadcasting outreach of Franklin.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We can start.
Recording in progress.
This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the August 8th, 2024 Franklin Conservation Commission here on Zoom. We love Zoom so much. Yes, we do. Yeah. Before I begin, I will take a roll call. Everyone, I'm here.
Mark LePage here.
Mark.
Roger Trahan here.
Nicole Sharamonte present.
Is there anybody else? Richard? I thought Richard was going to be in. No?
I saw Richard earlier.
Richard, are you here?
He is. I just asked him to unmute. One moment. Do you want me to? I sent the prompt again, Richard.
Finally.
Good.
There's a black information band that goes right across the top of it that hides the unmute symbol, so it's a problem.
Of course. Okay, Richard, are you here?
I am here.
Good. Okay, I think that's it, right? That's the contingent today, you think? Yes. Okay. And we please speak in your mic? Yes. Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to open up the first public hearing for the NOI for Tri-County Regional Vocational Technical High School. Do we have any updates for Tri-County?
No updates. I think we are definitely able to recommend closure today, but I do know that there were some feedback on the conditions. Due to being in the field this afternoon, haven't had a chance to look at them. I figured since we have a meeting, we could, Steve, if you don't mind sharing screens, and then we could go through those.
Absolutely. Give me 2 seconds. So good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Ricolai, Steve Powers from Semiotis Consultants. We have civil engineers for the project. I am going to share the 6 or 7 markups. Most were clarifications of what we wanted to bring up and discuss with the commission as well as Bricolai. So can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So most of the conditions were fine. We had a chance to review Beta's recommendations prior to that. I did have a couple of questions that I discussed with Bricolai. It was more of, again, clarifications on it. So with the draft order that's in front of us, I did want to go through just a couple. One was 19. So Bricolai, some of this you may weigh in on, or the commission. So if I'm overstepping, please let me know and we can skip to the next one. So the first one was the mitigation planting plan. So our comment was essentially related to, so there is no detention basins here. We do have the reconfigured drainage swales north of the building, and that is within the jurisdictional buffer zone of that northern wetland resource area. And we are proposing currently, and this is represented on the landscape plans, which are on file, and we will be updating and providing the final documents per the order and per Beta's special conditions as well to the commission in the next couple days. I just wanted to clarify these before we submitted. So we do have upland mitigation seed mix, which is pretty common throughout the rear of the building, in and around the wetlands replication areas, the wetlands restoration area south of the building. I believe we went through those mixes and that's acceptable. We also do have some low bushes and some trees in that area. Is that the extent of the mitigation for those swales that we're reconfiguring on the north side?
I think so. Bricolai, do you have any? I mean, I think so. Yes.
Yeah, Steve, that would satisfy that condition. For the commission, typically you still just condition this because it's a part of your standard anyways. I can tell you, Steve, that guidebook isn't dissimilar to what you proposed. So it's more just bringing it to the front. So next agent, next commissioner, that when they look at this, they know that this is their directive. They're not necessarily pulling out the landscape plan. So that's why.
Okay.
But yeah, there's nothing on top of this condition that we haven't already discussed or is on that plan.
Okay. I figured as much, but I still wanted to clarify that. Thank you. The next one is number 22, as-built plan. So this specifically lists what would be the engineer of record. So it would be myself. We're supplying the plans to be finally approved by the commission. Those will be the record plans. The condition we have no issue with, but what I did want to clarify for the commission as well as Bricolai was, because it is such a large project and an ongoing project over many phases and frankly years, we're going to have, or the contractor will have a land surveyor, professional land surveyor, that's the PLS that I abbreviated here, put together that as-built plan. So what I wanted to clarify, is it okay for the commission that they provide a certified stamped as-built plan for everything that is built, provided to me, I review it, and then I can provide my stamp either on that as reviewed rather than compiling it. And that would note that, yes, it is within conformance of the approved plans or acceptable tolerances. And if there's any deviations, I can detail that at the end of the project, which would be when we look for our certificate of compliance.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That's fine to me.
Yep.
Great. The next one was number 32, the weekly monitor reports. So the condition is every other week there is sort of a construction activity report as long as the ground remains destabilized. And then the applicant's representative of the contractor must submit this written report to the Concom. So it will be the responsibility of the contractor. It's also their responsibility under the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan or the SWIP and under the NIPD's permit that is filed for. So in the SWIP, there are observation logs and weekly reporting that essentially covers, I believe, most of what is represented here. I didn't know if those would be acceptable to be submitted to the Conservation Commission every other week, or is there a different format that we need to make sure that the contractor is aware of? And we understand that maybe the first couple times Bricolai and the Commission might want a couple additional things until we get rolling, but that was our thought of the format. Is that acceptable?
If I may, Jeff. Yeah, SWIP is fine. A lot of projects send me SWIPs. When you get into replication, obviously adding some more photos of that, since that's more our purview. And then that's fine.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And just to clarify your point, Bricolai, we obviously will have a wetland scientist present and witnessing and developing reports as the wetlands, especially when the wetlands replication area does get installed. And that's part of the conditions, and it's actually part of the plans as well, the wetlands replication plan. So we'll make sure that we do have additional information coming back to the Conservation Commission. Okay. Number 51, my only question here is I didn't see stipulation number 9, and I didn't know if that was it should be renumbered, or if I was missing a condition.
No, those are built in. So you'll notice that these conditions start at 19. That's because DEP has their own conditions that they provide.
Right.
So it references.
That makes sense. Yep. Okay. All right. And the last couple. So this was the most of the topic of discussion that we had last time on the 25th when we were in front of you before. The landscape architect was on. They are on again to clarify anything, but there was a discussion regarding the native species within the courtyard. And we went back and forth, and I think and this condition was part of Beta's initial recommendations. So what we would like to do, if the commission is acceptable to this, prior to the start of work, a landscape operation and maintenance plan that prohibits the disposal of the ground cover bamboo outside of the proposed courtyard area should be provided to the Conservation Commission and or its agent for review and approval. Is that an acceptable change to that condition specific to the courtyard?
So, Steve, remember when we did the round robin, there were people that were
Yes.
ardently against bamboo, and there were people that
Yes.
felt like it was okay with the proper controls in place, such as the ones that you are offering here. My guess is that probably hasn't changed. So you probably would get the same, and I think it was 4-3 or something like that. I mean, basically, I believe that the pros outweigh the cons, but my guess is you probably would get the same distribution.
It sounds like the same
So-
thing we agreed on.
So, yeah, what
I
Steve is,
also have a question on that too.
Okay.
what Steve is, he's wanting to change the language on this draft condition to what we discussed from the last
Right.
time. So
Okay.
it's not changing necessarily,
Yes, yeah.
like we're not reopening the conversation. It's just including that landscape plan, which, thank you, Steve. I thought I had included that, but apparently not. So I appreciate that.
That's true. Yeah. Roger, you had a question?
Yeah, Jeff, Bricolage, can you tell me where this bamboo is going to be planted? Is that really out of our jurisdiction area anyhow?
It's within the buffer zone to a wetland that is being impacted. So an existing wetland
So
thank you. Steve can walk you through it.
Yeah. And then,
Commissioner Trahan. Oh, go ahead.
yes, go
Sorry,
ahead.
sir. So I'm pulling this up. I do have one of the landscape architects on board to discuss it, but I'll just briefly go through the area. So this is the area of the courtyard. It is completely contained. The bamboo would be contained within this, as discussed last time. The building is surrounding the entire area of where this courtyard would be. So there would be no potential escape or spreading of it, other than if they do need to dispose of the bamboo, and that's what would go to this condition.
Yeah, basically somebody would have to
David-
physically take something out of the courtyard, basically, because it's not.
Correct.
Now, do the planters have a cement bottom, or is it down into the ground, basically?
I'll let the landscape architect address this.
Okay, thank you, Steve. This is David Warner, Warner Larson Landscape Architects. The building itself has deep frost wall foundations, cast in place concrete foundations, and offers any superior containment to bamboo than a planter would be. The courtyard is essentially a giant planter in and of itself.
Because I mean, we're replacing a school that's approximately 40 years old, let's say. And if things go the same way in 40 years, we're going to be replacing this school along with the planter and anything else that's there. I just have a concern how a landscape company or a conservation committee can condone planting an invasive species that can really quickly go out of control. I understand that, the vote, I believe, was 4-3, but I just think that we ought to rethink that, to be honest with you.
I'd like
It's
to
going to
add
get out of
something.
control when it's planted in a concrete encased in the middle of a building.
But I wanted to add something to what Roger is saying. I'm sorry. We're asking, citizens of Franklin to plant native plants, and here we're going to allow somebody to plant. I understand it can't get out of control, but we should keep this consistent and stick with a native plant.
So I disagree with Nicole on this. This is not the same situation as planting something in your yard. This is not something as planting something in the front of your house. I mean, that's what we're disagreeing, not necessarily on the bamboo itself. We're disagreeing on basically the probability or the aspect that this represents either an enclosed or a potentially not enclosed situation. That's really what it comes down to. And that's really what people are, I mean, my personal opinion, that's what people are basically voting on. And
No, I understand what everyone is voting on, but I don't agree.
I don't think, well, I disagree. I disagree
too.
I disagree that it's not the same. It's just not the same thing. I agree. I know what you're trying to say, but I can't. So basically, I mean, if I take this to the extreme, I'm going to tell every single person that wants to put a plant in their kitchen that they have to use a native plant because that's ridiculous.
Yes, but indoors is more controlled than if it's outside. And there's too many variables that are dealing with these plants. There's a lot of other ground cover that can be chosen. I don't understand why the applicant needs to stay with bamboo. There's many other ones out there that they can choose.
And one of my concerns is who's to say that any employee at that school or any kid at that school that says, wow, that's a cool plant, I'm going to just, dig out a little piece of it and take it home and plant it, and it's off and running.
Well, if
I think we all kind of already
if they want to take it to their home, that's their own problem. I mean, you have that option anyway. If you want to plant a piece of a plant on your property, we don't have any control over that. We can't put a guard up there and guard all the plants and make sure none of the students take them out of the building.
I think we already agreed to the bamboo, right?
I think that we did agree to this.
Yeah, that ship sailed, and I think the point of tonight was Steve and his group following up on the controlled disposal as the bamboo was made. So unless we want to make a decision to reopen it, I mean, we took a vote, but by majority we let the bamboo go, and now it's just a matter of managing the work that might be done on it. So I don't know if we want to reopen that, but I think we kind of close that out.
I think we beat it to death, and I'm unwilling to reopen it.
Oh, okay.
I was under the impression that Jeff, that you had told them that that maybe they should find another alternative.
No, I didn't say that. No. If you remember correctly, I just read the minutes. I took a round robin asking each commissioner whether or not if we actually had the vote at that moment, what would they vote on? And they basically said yay or nay on the bamboo. So it was 4-3, and that's what that was. And I told Steve that's where the commission sat, and that's probably where the commission would continue to sit.
Okay. Well, thank you all for the input. So that is what we are proposing for just a small change of language on 61. Moving on to 63, this is the exhibit that shows the discrete areas. We actually showed this last time. We updated it to finalize the areas, and I walked the commission through where all the disturbances are. So I'm hoping that we'll supply this as part of our final package to the commission, so it is on file. And then I believe the last one, this is just a request. So the operation and maintenance plan, we're putting in the final information for this. We'll have the owner sign it. Part of the operation and maintenance procedures for cleaning and maintaining these units will fall on the facilities director of the school. It'll also potentially fall on the town, potentially the DPW. And in talking to the facilities director today, he thought, you know, there would be a breakup of potential responsibilities, and you know, they may be responsible for these parts. They may be responsible for, you know, it may fluctuate from year to year, and they might have a private vendor that is part of maintaining these, depending on, in accordance to the schedule, whether they can get to it or not, and whether they have the right expertise. The one thing I wanted to do is ask if there was an ability for the commission to strike the annual operation and maintenance budget that we would supply. What we would be doing is going out to local vendors or private vendors within Massachusetts that do put this together. We can't give them a full scope of work that they would do on an annual basis because of this. And I was just wondering if we could take the budget portion of it out. The school and the team and the construction team, we agree to everything that is in the operation and maintenance budget. We will have signatures. We will have commitments to the town as well as the Conservation Commission. Can we just take out that part of it, which would be just providing an annual budget?
Why would we need to know the annual budget?
I agree.
We have a lot of language in there that tells them they have to tell us what they're doing, when they're going to do the annual operation, get it approved and everything.
Right.
We don't really, the budget's not our purview, I don't think.
Right. I agree, Richard.
Okay. This was a recommendation from Beta, so of course they defer to the commission on this. So we appreciate that. So that's it. Otherwise, we understand the conditions. We're providing the final documents to Bricolage in the next few days, and you know, we're walking through each of this. We had a brief meeting today with the contractor, so they were aware of some of the bigger picture items. They had no issues with it. So with this, that's all we have for comments, and we'll turn it back over to the commission for determination.
Steve, I want you to note something important. We're missing a member. We only have 6,
okay.
Right? And you need a majority.
Okay.
You need a majority.
Yes.
Yes. So you have an option. We can take a vote, or you can wait to the next meeting.
Thought that we're not going to approve this?
I think we can approve it.
If we approve it. If the bamboo is going to basically present an issue, if people are not going to approve it, then you have 3-3 and it will not pass. So I'm just saying.
Can you do an informal poll, Jeff, or
I mean,
non-binding, or are we on record?
I mean, you could. Yeah, I could. I don't know if people would want to do that, but I mean, the bottom line is if people are going to, it really, in my opinion, is not fair to the applicant that we are down a man, and that basically they've gotten this far and they've made this number of compromises and worked with us in good faith, and because of this administrative issue that they would not pass. I don't think that's fair. So if that's going to be the case, then I mean, it would make sense to give them the option to wait until when we have a full contingent.
Is there some thought amongst everybody here that we're going to 86 this thing over the bamboo? The whole project over the bamboo?
Are we gonna do that, or is the Tri-County going to do that?
What do you mean?
I don't
We're
understand the
voting on it.
question. We're voting, Richard. We're voting, Roger. We're basically, I mean, they're ready to vote. I mean,
We're voting to
finished
approve this
everything.
thing.
Yeah, they finished everything. We finished the conditions. Everything's ready to go. But basically what I'm saying is that we have a vote tonight. Mike's out. Okay, he's not here.
I'm not out.
What?
I've been here. I missed roll call, but
Okay, Mike, I didn't know you were here because you didn't roll call in, okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been here since
Okay.
you opened the hearing.
All right, you should have said something, okay? Please say something next time, because I've been working under the aspiration that you're not here, the impression you're not here. So you really have to say something when you come in on board, okay? Even if you come in late, you have to say something. All right, so then forget everything I just said. We're basically back to a full contingent.
Okay. Wow. I felt like I was on a game show.
Yeah,
Yeah, door
Yeah.
number 1, door number 2.
Door number, right. Exactly.
it's kind of like Hollywood Squares. Yeah,
Name
Don't
that
even go
tune.
there. Yeah. No kid. Okay. Well, I mean, Brika, unless you have something additional, I don't think there's anything else to discuss, or unless the commissioners have something else that they'd like to add. I don't think.
The only thing that I had to add was that, and it's fine, you can kick it out of the conditions, I suppose, but the budget for stormwater is required per the handbook for stormwater O&M plans, so that's why it's in there, just as a learning moment for everybody. So it's not seeking more information or being too probative. It's just listed in the stormwater handbook.
I see. So it's a pass through. Basically, it's a carryover from the.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So fine kicking it out. Just again, learning moment.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Well, I mean, again, if there isn't anything else, I'll take a motion to close the hearing on this. If you guys want to close the hearing.
Give you a motion to close the hearing for the NOI on Tri-County Regional Vocational Technical High School.
Second.
Okay. I'll take a vote. A round robin. Richard?
Vote to approve, vote to close.
No, vote to close, right? Jeff votes to close. Mark?
Vote to close.
Mike?
Close.
Nicole?
Abstain.
Okay. I think that, did I get Richard? You got it. You vote to close, Richard, yep?
Yeah, I
Gotta get
did.
Roger.
Okay, I got everybody. Okay, so everybody votes to close. Okay.
But
With
we gotta
one-
get Roger.
Oh,
I vote to close.
Roger, sorry, Roger. Okay, so close, one abstention. All right. And then I'll take a motion to approve the NOI for Tri-County Regional Vocational Technical High School.
I'll give you a motion to approve the NOI for Tri-County Regional Vocational Technical High School.
Second.
Second. Okay, round robin. Roger,
I vote not to approve.
Nicole,
Abstain.
Michael,
Approve.
Mark,
Vote to approve.
Jeff approves. Who did I miss?
Dick approves.
Okay, so we have 4 approvals. So it's approved. Sound of gavel. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, everyone. Bye, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Now we go on.
I just want to say thank you. This is Karen McGuire, the superintendent at Tri-County. I just want to say thank you so much. I know this has been a long process for everyone, and we appreciate all your work. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Well, thanks for working with us very
Yeah,
much.
you guys were good in working with us through
Yeah,
the
they're
process too, and that is appreciated.
They really were.
Thanks,
Okay.
Karen. All right, thanks, Briga. Yeah, Briga Lang. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so let me open up now the next hearing, the NOI for Veterans Memorial Drive. Do we have any updates for Veterans Memorial Drive?
No, but I believe we can, I'd recommend closure with conditions or approval, closure approval with conditions.
Okay.
I can provide
Yes.
a brief update. This is Mike from Gillier and Halnon. So at
Hey,
the
hey,
last
Mike, I'm
hearing,
sorry. Could you hang on one sec?
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, Jeff,
Yeah.
just kind of a technical point. We didn't read in the conditions for
For Tri-County.
Tri-County.
Ken, do you want to read? Well, here's my take on that. So, I don't think we need to read in the common, but we probably should read in the special conditions. That's what I say. Right.
Okay.
So
And we can do that at any time. It doesn't have to be within
Yeah.
by the hearing.
That's fine. I also attached them to my agent report. So
Yeah.
when I don't usually do that, so
Yeah.
I must have known somehow that
Yeah.
something was going to happen.
Yes.
So they were there. So would you like me to do that now?
Mike, can you just take one moment? Can we just take 1 moment and read this in officially? Just make it official. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
sorry, Mike.
Okay, yeah, so again, we're just gonna read in the special conditions because the other ones are well documented in our standard stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just briefly say the numbers. So for Tri-County, special conditions 19 through 41, 44 and 46 through 51. And then apologies, I have to pull up Stephen's checks or Stephen's revisions. Okay. So then continuing on, special condition 52, the applicant shall complete and submit a vernal pool survey during the vernal pool breeding season of the BA series isolated vegetated wetland after issuance of this order of conditions, but prior to the end of construction. Should this area be determined to constitute a vernal pool for National Heritage and Endangered Species Program guidance, the applicant shall certify the vernal pool with the Department of Fish and Wildlife, National Heritage and Endangered Species Program. 53, should the existing clearing north of Tri-County School Drive be used for construction and material storage, then erosion sedimentation controls should be installed and maintained at the 100-foot buffer zone to the G-Series isolated vegetated wetland. Installation of erosion and sedimentation controls shall be communicated to the conservation agent and or conservation commission immediately and inspected as deemed necessary. 54, use of the wetland replication area stormwater control measures for any current or future projects is prohibited. This condition shall be binding in perpetuity. The applicant may utilize the wetland replication area as temporary stormwater control while the area is rough graded and unstabilized. Once construction of the wetland replication area begins, the applicant shall not use it for stormwater control post-development. 55, as stated on note 1 of the wetland replication area plan, the purpose of the wetland replication area is to mitigate unavoidable impacts associated with the filling of the local jurisdictional resource area located towards the north and south of the project building site. The wetland replication area shall be constructed at an approximately 1.3 to 1 ratio, resulting in about 8,000 square feet of new wetlands. The wetland replication area shall be constructed in a manner such that it provides enhanced wetland functions and values relative to the wetland that is being filled, including the creation of important wildlife habitat features for potential vernal pool indicator species. An important consideration towards the creation of vernal pool habitat is that it be sufficiently wet during the spring breeding period, typically March through June, to allow for the metamorphosis of certain facultative and obligate vernal pool indicator species, including but not limited to wood frog, Lithobates sylvaticus, and spotted salamander, Ambystoma maculatum, among other species. 56, as stated on note 2 of the wetland replication area plan, the purpose of the wetland replication area is to mitigate unavoidable impacts associated with the filling of the local jurisdictional resource area located towards the north and south of the project building site. The wetland replication area shall be constructed at an approximately 1.3 to 1 ratio, resulting in about 8,000 square feet of new wetlands. The remaining language is the same as 55, just to speed up me reading. 57, the construction of the wetland replication area, including fine grading, soils placement, liner installation, and planting, shall be done under direct supervision of a qualified wetland scientist hired by the applicant. The wetland scientist shall be on site to monitor construction of the wetland replication area to ensure compliance with the mitigation plan and to adjust when needed to meet mitigation goals. Field adjustments may include, but are not necessarily limited to, subgrade, final grades, microtopography, sediment controls, placement of woody debris, and other wildlife habitat features and plantings, both species and placement depending on nursery availability, based on site-specific conditions at the time of construction. 58, prior to the start of work, a revised planting plan proposing woody plantings and the locations of additional no-mow signage to protect the wetland replication area shall be provided to the conservation agent and or conservation commission for review and approval. Any plant substitutions within jurisdictional areas must be submitted to the conservation agent and or conservation department for review and approval. 59, prior to its installation within the wetland replication area, the specification sheet for the proposed liner must be submitted to the conservation agent and/or conservation commission for review and approval. 60, signage for the mowing schedule, i.e. once yearly late fall, and no dumping signage shall be installed where the conservation seed mix is proposed on either side of the new driveway and the areas north, east, and south of the newly proposed building. This signage is in addition to the no-mow signage associated with the wetland replication areas. Locations of signage must be provided to the conservation agent and/or conservation commission prior to the installation for review and approval. Prior to the start of, 61, prior to the start of work, a landscape operation and maintenance plan that prohibits the disposal of the ground cover bamboo outside of the proposed courtyard area should be provided to the Conservation Commission and/or its agent for review and approval. 62, a final copy of the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, otherwise known as a SWIP, shall be provided to the Conservation Agent and/or Conservation Commission prior to the commencement of construction. Excuse me. The applicant 63, the applicant shall provide a revised copy of the plan set with each discrete wetland impact area identified and quantified to the conservation agent and/or commission prior to the start of work. 64, the outlet control structure shall be revised such that the outlet pipe diameter is consistent with the HydroCAD model. Documentation of the revision shall be provided to the conservation agent and/or commission prior to the start of work. 65, referencing standard special condition 19, details for the proposed swale shall be provided to the conservation agent and/or conservation commission prior to the first pre-construction meeting. Depths of swale shall be consistent with those used in the sizing calculations included in the applicant response letter dated June 27th, 2024. We're almost done. 66, the plan shall be updated, including legend and callouts to clearly identify each type of water quality unit and phosphorus removal structure. Revised plans shall be submitted to and approved by the conservation agent and/or conservation commission prior to the start of work. 67, proprietary products used for stormwater treatment shall meet or exceed the treatment capabilities of those documented in the stormwater management report. Supporting documentation meeting Mass DEP requirements shall be provided prior to installation where necessary to the conservation agent and/or conservation commission. 68, the plan, stormwater report, and stormwater checklist shall be updated as necessary to document where detention or infiltration stormwater control measures are proposed and to justify where infiltration is not practicable. Revised documents shall be submitted to and approved by the conservation agent and/or conservation commission prior to the start of work. 69, sizing calculations for stormwater water quality units B1-09-WQU and D3-04-WQU shall be updated to include all contributing catchment areas. Revised calculations shall be submitted to and approved by the conservation agent and/or conservation commission prior to the start of work. 70, the stormwater operation and maintenance plan shall be updated to include the following provisions for notifying future property owners on the presence of the stormwater management system and the requirement of proper operation and maintenance, owner signature, and manufacturer's operation and maintenance procedures for proprietary stormwater treatment units. The plan shall be submitted to and approved by the conservation agent and/or conservation commission prior to the completion of construction. And 71, grading plan shall be updated in the area near the wetland replication area to reflect proposed flush curbing. Revised plans shall be submitted to and approved by the conservation agent and/or conservation commission prior to the start of work. That is all.
Deep breath.
Whew.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep. Is everybody still awake?
Yeah, yeah.
We're here. Okay.
We are avid. Okay.
Michael,
sorry,
you won't
Mike.
have that much. You won't have that.
Yeah, I believe we're at 4 currently, so it'll be a little
Yeah.
quicker.
It's good news for all of us, Mike.
So yeah, so
Back over to Michael.
yes, yeah, the brief update. So at the last hearing, we discussed doing that tree transact, and I kind of updated the commission on the revisions that have already been made, so I don't need to go over those again. Beta has since completed its review, and their comment letter has most issues resolved. There are a couple outstanding ones that have been incorporated into the draft order prepared by Bricolai. And, G&H and the applicant doesn't have any issues with those. So, and I'm not sure if you want to go over them or if you want to have Bricolai read through them or how you want to do the next part, but.
Okay, is there anything we need to review specifically? There's nothing that we haven't discussed already, right?
No. not particularly. I think everything can be everything outstanding can be conditioned, and I would remind the commission that this is a town project, and I say that only that they're not going anywhere.
Right.
So,
Right. Okay. All right. So do we want to read before we actually decide to close and vote, do we want to read the conditions into the record?
Well, or does it have them published with Veterans Memorial Drive attached special conditions as part of her agent's report? So
right.
Why torture ourselves?
Right.
I think though, for transparency purposes, it's probably.
We've always done it. We've always, especially for the special conditions.
Personally.
We've always done it that way.
I know it's difficult, transparency in government, but I'm trying. Okay. I'm really trying.
Yeah. Okay. So that we know what the special conditions actually are that we're actually voting on for this when we ultimately close and vote. Could you basically please read the 4 additional special conditions for Veterans Memorial Drive? Thank you.
Yes. Special conditions 19 through 31, 33 through 41, 44, and 46 through 51. In addition to number 52, revised plans depicting erosion and sedimentation controls along the proposed access path to the wetland replication area shall be submitted to and approved by the conservation agent and/or conservation commission prior to the start of work. 53, the applicant shall provide a revised plan with accurate count of trees with 3-inch or greater caliper to be removed. The revised plan should also depict a proposed access route with less tree impacts, if practicable. I'd like to make a change to that. Number 54, the applicant shall provide a restoration plan for temporary and permanent work within the buffer zone pursuant to Chapter 181, Section 7.11 to the Conservation Agent or Conservation Commission for approval prior to the start of work. In addition, a gross section of the proposed replication area with the proposed grading and depth to groundwater shall be provided in compliance with Chapter 181, Section 7.14.2 to the Conservation Agent and/or Conservation Commission for approval prior to the start of work. 55, all vegetation planted within the buffer zone to isolated vegetated wetland shall consist of native species.
Okay. And Michael, you're good with all that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, unless there's additional questions or comments from the commission, I will take a vote to close the hearing for Veterans Memorial Drive.
I'll give you a motion to close the NOI for Veterans Memorial Drive.
Second that.
Okay. I'll take a vote. Richard?
Oh, close.
Roger?
You're muted, Roger.
Roger's a vote to close.
Nicole? Nicole?
I'm sorry, it wasn't working. Close.
Mike?
Close.
Mark?
Vote to close.
Richard?
Close.
Did you, me? Close. Okay, so we're closed. All right, now I'll take a vote. I'll take a vote to approve the NOI for Veterans Memorial Drive. Or motion to approve.
Give you a
motion to approve the NOI for Veterans Memorial Drive with the approved conditions.
Second that.
Okay. Okay. Roger?
Vote to approve.
Richard?
Vote to approve.
Mark?
Vote to approve.
Mike?
Approve.
Nicole?
Approve.
And I approve. Okay. Sound of gavel. Beep. Okay. Veterans Memorial Drive is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all your time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Okay. Now we would like to open up the NOI for 15 Liberty Way. Is there anyone here from Liberty Way, and or are there any updates?
Beta provided a peer review letter yesterday. The submission is the same, should have been the same from a couple months ago. The applicant did request a continuance just so that they could review the letter. And then I have not had time yet today to review the letter either.
Okay. All right. So unless anyone has any reservations, we can vote to continue the NOI for 15, or take a motion to continue the NOI for 15 Liberty Way.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 15 Liberty Way to
Second that.
August 22nd at 7:01 PM.
Second that.
Okay. Richard,
Vote to approve.
continue.
Continue.
Nicole,
Continue.
Roger,
Continue.
Mark,
Vote to continue.
Mike,
Continue.
and I vote to continue. Sound of gavel, beep. Okay, so the NOI for 15 Liberty Way is continued August 22nd at 7:01 PM. Thank you. All right, next up, the NOI for 5 Oak Tree Lane. I have a note here that we have not yet received a DEP number, and we are waiting the certified abutters list notification. So is there anyone here from 5 Oak Tree?
Yes, it looks like the attorneys are on. If the commissioner remembers, this is the COCs, the 2 COCs from last time where there was an in-ground pool, right?
Right.
So
Right.
now they're refiling. Unfortunately, with the DEP number and the certified assessors, that's requirement under the Wetlands Protection Act. So
Right.
at this point, we're just waiting. I can definitely reach out to DEP for that number, Kyle or someone from the other side. You might want to make that a priority as well. But otherwise, I imagine once we get that, I would recommend closure. All right.
Okay. So also we probably can close next time because that'll probably be done with the abutters and everything, like probably.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, sorry. This is for 5 John Edwards Circle?
Oh,
5 Oak
That's-
Tree Lane is what we have down here.
Okay, so if for the in-ground pool, I represent the sellers of 5 John Edwards Circle.
Right.
it should be 5 John Edwards.
Oh,
5 Oak Tree is actually another pool project, but not supposed to be for
Okay, so
this.
this is-
Okay,
so this is wrong.
Yes,
In the notes and in the notes in the agenda, should be,
that is correct.
okay.
Which, to be fair, just so legally we're covered, I'm gonna make a note. 5 Oak Tree Lane is a deficient application, so there's no requirement to open the public hearing. So you did not technically open 5 Oak Tree Lane. And then for 5 John Edwards, because we don't have a certified abutters list, there's no requirement to open the public hearing yet. So this snafu is very
No impact. That's good.
yes,
so
that's
basically-
what I'm
okay.
getting at, Mark.
All right,
Yeah,
so-
I
no
like
impact.
that.
All right, so basically, okay, so basically, Kyle, we don't even have to open the meeting yet, okay, which would be to your advantage, given quota issues, right, that will never come up again, ever. Right, so basically, it would be better to wait until you guys have the DEP number at least before you open up the hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to anyways, because the agenda would have had to been posted 48 hours in advance.
That's right, and it's not on the agenda because
Yeah.
it's the wrong thing. It's true.
Wow,
It's
that
true.
could have been bad.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad you caught that. Okay, good.
I'm glad.
Good.
Thanks, Kyle.
Okay, all right.
Kyle, sorry.
No,
Sorry,
no
Brad.
problem at all. So I have requested the certified abutters list. It just still hasn't come in.
Right.
To come in next week.
Right.
And I'll get the ball rolling on that as soon as I have the list.
Right.
Have you, actually, just while I have you called them for an update? Otherwise, I'll just walk over there and see what I can do.
So I haven't, but I can do so tomorrow.
Okay, it's probably good.
Yeah, absolutely. So no need to walk over there. I'll follow up with a phone call tomorrow.
Perfect. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Thanks, everybody, for fixing the mix-up. Okay, that's it for the hearings then. We'll just go ahead right immediately to the request for determination of applicability, RDA, for 360 West Central Street. And this is the Beaver Deceiver, right?
Yeah, this is another one. Originally, when drafting the agenda, this doesn't have to be a public hearing. Derek and I had thought we'd have to access through 360 West Central, which is why that is the date that's on there. We actually don't have to. We found a different means of accessing, so we can actually get behind or next to Ryan Jetty's building.
Okay.
And then the flow device itself is right on the property boundary.
Okay.
But for our new members, and our old ones, if you recall, Derek Adams and I, he's the stormwater superintendent and environmental affairs coordinator. We have a pet projects of sort. I'm sure that diminishes it. But anyways, we have a pet project of installing flow devices around town in lieu of trapping beavers. In addition to it being a more holistic approach, a more sustainable approach, not just for the environment, but also financially. It is wicked expensive to continue to hire trappers, sometimes twice a year, when you can install a flow device and it can last up to 10 years. With very low maintenance. So to describe a flow device, there's flow devices and then there's fences. So a flow device essentially is a corrugated pipe that you notch into a dam and you sink it to a point that it sits at the desired water level. Typically, how I like to permit for it, I don't want to mess with the water level. That's more impact, right? So I want to keep the water level as it sits today, August 8th, 2024. So less impact. So you notch the dam, you install that pipe. At the inlet portion of that pipe is a cage. The gauge on that cage is wide enough so it still allows for fish passage. It still allows for any sort of aquatic connectivity. You sink that cage in that inlet. Beavers are stimulated by the sound of running water, so they are less likely to dam that inlet because they can't hear it necessarily underneath the water, but they will hear the notch that you made in the dam. So really quickly, most times even overnight, they will redam that pipe, and then there's your flow device. And so it continues to allow flow of water through one body to the next.
Right. It's like making a passage through the dam effectively.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I know again, this is more Nicole, they don't mean to call you out, but it's more for you because they've heard it all already. So I did want to also, just for flexibility, permit for a keystone fence at this area. So a keystone fence is usually a little bit less of an impact. It is a fence that you put around a culvert, usually in a trapezoidal shape. So the beavers start damming closer to the culvert, and then as they work away from the, in this case, it's actually the rail bed, the old sewer bed, I'm sorry. So as they work away from that, they either tire themselves out or they get frustrated because they're moving farther away from the culvert and they stop, or they just dam all the way around it, but water is still able to move underneath that fence. Typically, fences require more maintenance because beavers are building dams on top of them. So I just wanted to, for ease of flexibility, based on site conditions, I wanted to permit for both, especially because in some instances you can install a fence to start and then inevitably you may have to install a pipe. So we're not actually notching a dam in this case. We would be installing a fence and then perhaps putting a pipe through that fence through the culvert. So the 360 West Central is actually old exit 17 farm. I'm getting calls from them at minimum every 2 weeks for the entire summer because they keep flooding.
Right.
So this is definitely a high priority site. At this point, I don't even call them back. I just send the voicemail over to Derek. So we have a decent system here. So resources on site are pretty standard that we've seen everywhere else. You have BPW, you definitely have BLSF. It is an unnamed perennial stream. Obviously, we're working more within the inside stream portions than not. and impacts are relatively low. We're not putting any pilings, Nicole, for your knowledge, that inlet, that cage isn't pushed into the substrate at all. It just sinks to the bottom.
So we haven't put one over there yet.
Not over there, no. We've been pretty busy. I know we got a lot of road projects around town that Derek's been helping out with, but we've got all of the pond levelers built for 3 locations now, one for Delcart too. I called Mike Callahan. He's president of Beaver Solutions and Beaver Institute to talk about some Keystone fence areas off of Prospect, Lincoln, and Spring Street. And now this is the last one. So I think this is number 10. The one at Abbey Lane is functioning. I haven't gotten any calls from the abutter, so no news is good news. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad it worked. The Beaver Deceiver.
The Beaver Deceiver. So this is just another one. It's just a copy paste from what you've seen.
Better than the other options, for sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, if there aren't any questions, I will take a vote for a negative determination on the RDA for 360 West Central Street, Beaver Street flow device.
We need a motion for
motion.
Go ahead, Richard. Go ahead, Richard.
Go ahead. I'll give you a motion to what?
Negative determination.
Give you a negative determination for the West Central Street, Beaver Street flow device.
Okay. Go to second.
Second that.
Okay. Round robin. Roger.
I'll give you a negative determination.
Richard.
Same here. Negative determination.
Mark.
Negative determination.
Nicole.
Negative determination.
Mike.
Negative determination.
Richard.
Negative determination.
And I have negative determination. Okay, sound of gavel, beep. Okay, we have a negative determination for the Beaver Deceiver for 360 West Central Street. Thank you very much. Okay, we have one permit modification extension for Franklin Heights Parcel B, condition number 54. And this comes down to an issue about scope and fees. And I'm going to let Rika Lai talk a little bit about some of the back and forth that's been going on between Creative Land and Water and Michael Maglio.
Sure. So if the commission recalls, at the last meeting, we did have a discussion about requesting a scope and fee of the applicant for construction monitoring, essentially, while construction was occurring. I'd like to preface to the commission that this is you have a right to do this, number one. 2, it's also in your conditions. It's condition number 54 to request this due to the nature of the site, the resources on site, and how large the site is. So the commission did have discussions with the applicant at that time when they were filing for their notice of intent and subsequent order of conditions. So when the applicant was, if you also recall, many months ago, the applicant came in for a small permit modification for phasing, for removing trees, stumping, things of that nature, if that triggers your memory. I did tangentially bring up this condition. We didn't discuss it. You didn't discuss it at that time. So it just fell to the wayside, which is fine. Up until DPW, Mike Maglio had asked if the commission was requiring construction site monitoring. Typically, what is standard is that planning board requires this. So for any project that comes before the commission of a certain size, planning board requires Beta to go out and do construction site monitoring. And then I pick up the slack, so to speak, with erosion controls, wetland replication, things like that. This project never went before planning board. So there's nobody out there at this time looking at construction site monitoring. I will note that I have a million things that I do day in, day out. That is not just extracurricular. So dividing my entire attention to one project of this size is something to consider.
Yeah,
I
that's not
digress. All the
feasible.
same. What was that?
That's not feasible.
Yeah. So not when there's 121 Grove Street and all these Franklin
Totally not.
Ford,
Yeah, totally not. No.
all these other projects that we have. So, out of the direction of the commission, and then noting DPW's concerns, I reached out to Beta for scope and fee, was provided that scope and fee, did give it to the applicant. So the applicant did have some concerns with the scope and fee, which I did include in your Google Drive. Let me just poke over there.
It's a letter that was received yesterday.
Yes, thank you. So the applicant did redline it. They had some suggestions that they wanted items to be removed, either because they are working with me now, or that the project wetland scientist is doing inspections and are responsible for success of certain items. All well and good. I had already prefaced with my own response at the start of this. But additionally, Mike Maglio, town engineer, with Gus, the building commissioner, Matt Crowley, PM with Beta, and Doug Martin, who's the water and sewer superintendent. Mike wrote me a note or an email earlier this morning that he'd like to request that they include, that you request Beta include inspection of the water and sewer infrastructure installation as well, similar to the scope of work for planning board projects. So that's a tangential request from the town engineer. Oh, thank you.
Okay.
So the basis of their request looks like they want you or the people on their payroll to do this work is kind of what it boils down to, right? I don't mean to laugh.
Well, not yet. I mean, there's basically, if you read through their letter.
Yeah, I just looked through it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually four. I call it A, B, C, D, right? So there's the first one, that's 2.1. The applicant has their inspector working. Obviously, there's applicant bias in that. That is not
right.
That is not sufficient. I mean, that does not make sense. And then we'll talk about 2.2 in a minute separate. So B would be 2.3 and 2.3, 2.4, and that's basically the question of, do we want to have third-party oversight or not? And that basically, again, the agent helping the applicant is not third-party oversight. That's not professional oversight. That's basically assistance that we are providing to them because out of professional courtesy. But that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing as having like Beta oversee the project. That's not how it works. And then we have basically C, I call C, which is 2.526, and basically that's the same. It's a question of basically they claim that there's no need to include them because the design engineer will basically include them as the as-built. And I guess that's my question. There's a question back to Bricolai. I don't understand. Beta is wanting us to review them. They're saying we don't need to because their design engineer will ultimately perform that function, right? But is that also considered bias? Because the design engineer will have to adhere to engineering standards, which are independent of any kind of third-party bias.
That is true. My only response to that, and I'm not advocating either way here. I do try to make it a point to play devil's advocate for you guys to help bring up things that you may miss. But I can speak to two instances. One, for a past project where there were stormwater engineers that needed to meet stormwater standards, and they were very deficient in their applications, even though there are standards. That being on Grove. right? And two, I can speak to a personal experience where I was consulting and was told by my supervisor not to report in the weekly monitoring reports if there were issues, to be deficient on the weekly monitoring reports. So the the client could fix the issues. So Concom and the agent would never know there was an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
If it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. I think that's just the way of the world. I think the bias is just a fact. I'm not saying everybody's like that, and I'm not saying that.
Okay.
But
all right. So question, fine. Okay. Let's go to the 2.8. Basically, they're talking about these things are not in a public way. The inspection should be limited only to the area in the buffer zone. As design engineer will need to do the as-built survey and inspection of the construction. Again, same thing. I mean, basically, it's their design engineer that would basically do the inspection, right? So, I mean, there's those two issues. One is the limitation of the area, and two is the actual inspection. Who will end up doing that? So what's the? I don't understand. These are not in the public way. What is that? How do you interpret that?
So they're trying, I believe Deshang just joined from Creative Land and Water Engineering. Would you like him to answer? Or would you like me to answer with my interpretation?
Well, Deshang, if you're here, can you clarify what you mean in your letter, the red line to 2.8? I don't understand the comment.
Okay, I apologize. I went to the town hall. I saw it in person. And I just coming back and okay, number 8. Oh yeah, so those are like a dry well, so connected to roof runoff. So in the behind the buildings, it's not like in really drainage pipes that would be in the roadway, which is like a public safety concern. One, and second, I haven't really seen dry well installations will be, in addition to the design engineer supervision and as-built surveying, I haven't seen any town that would require a third-party inspection. That's just my thought.
So what I think it comes down to is who's maintaining the roads, and as far as I know, or who's maintaining those areas. And at that point, it's town.
I don't think it will be the town. So either the home association or the homeowner.
They do their own roads, though? It's not a town accepted road?
No, this is not in the roadway. The dry well, the HDPE. So the RCP drainage pipe, we agree, we know that. So either it's part of the road or it's the drainage pipes are in the roadway. But those dry wells are in the people's backyard. Not in,
sure.
I don't think the town is going to maintain it.
Sure. Perhaps for the stormwater stuff, or water and sewer, there's a lot of them. Well, as you're all residents, but all the same, I am not that type of engineer. I'm not an engineer at all, to be frank. But Mike Maglio, the town engineer, did look at the scope, and he had no red lines. He only had additions. If that provides any direction to the commission.
Okay. All right. Okay. So it looks like we're okay with 2.8. 2.7, 2.8. Okay, let's go back to 2.2 for a second. Let's go up. We skip this one. So again, limited inspect the culvert footing hole as a superstructure with precast structure and will not require any site inspection. So the superstructure does not require any site inspection because it's precast. Is that a rule? No?
Technically it is, because you can, so this is in the process, the manufacturer, they precast it. It's just like manhole structures. I don't see any people is going to inspect the manhole structure itself, because that's pretty much precast structure. But for the footing, for the success of the construction, footing is very important, especially preparation of the footing, compaction, everything. If footing soils is not prepared properly, then the structure is not going to hold.
Yeah,
So,
that makes
but
sense.
the structure itself is a sound just like in sewer manhole, septic tank. Even the town do septic tank inspection. They basically look at the septic tank hole, and nobody's.
So, I mean, to simplify, basically, not looking at the structure, but to make sure that the structure was installed correctly, which is the footing. Yes?
Yeah, so right now there's a temporary crossing. But the commission in the previous conditions did condition that someone, either the agent or Beta, is on site for the entire installation of the
Okay.
permanent culvert. So at this point, it's covering that. So there's temporary, but there's also maybe need for dewatering when you're installing this, right? We don't know. We could get massive flooding tomorrow. And how does that impact your next culvert install? Because now you're going to need to remove temporary stuff to put in permanent. So at that point, John's online from Beta. Just FYI, he raised his hand, Jeff.
Yeah,
John?
it's good.
John, do you have a
Thanks for
comment?
the pickup, the assist, John.
John, do you have a comment?
No, I just want, I'm, we're happy to fulfill any part of the scope that the commission deems appropriate or wants to strike. I just want to be clear about that. But I do just want to clarify for item 2.2, construction of the stream wetland crossing.
Right.
That would not be a structural analysis of, compaction rates or footing depth or, testing materials, testing concrete, et cetera. It would be more what Brigalai was getting at, which is, taking a look at dewatering and bypass, taking a look at erosion controls, stabilization of the area, ensuring that the span width is correct, et cetera. More on the environmental side than the structural engineering side. So just want to clarify that.
Yeah, we're not worried about the piece being precast, right? That's
Right.
kind of almost immaterial to what we're looking at inspecting. Yeah.
Exactly. And this piggybacks off of previous conditions from the order of conditions.
There you go.
So
Zhang?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
comment?
understand. Yes, I understand that part too. Actually, if the water is required, there is a condition. So the agent will either agent or she feels need a Beta's assistant in supervising that. I think I saw this spelled it out in other conditions. It will require on-site monitoring, both the design engineer or design me and either breaker line, or if the breaker line is busy or feel there's something coming out is not really above the normal condition, she definitely has the right to call Beta in to help her out. That's what we understand at our closing the hearing, at reading the meeting minutes.
So just to clarify, I don't have that right. It is the commission's right. And Deshang, if I could, help maybe guide you on this a little bit. At that time, I mean, when you're looking to dewater, you're looking to dewater now. So at this point, why not be proactive, agree to the scope and fee, any monies that aren't utilized are returned. So at this point, that means when you are ready to go, if there's any snafu, you have oversight. Because I can't give that administrative approval. So at that point, let's say you ask on a Friday morning and it's Friday after a hearing. Now you have to wait 2 weeks.
Right.
Okay, I understand. So if it's it's just to reserve the money. If we don't need the watering, then we are not going to call in the inspection. That is, if I understand right.
So again, it's based on what is at that point. Unfortunately, I'm sorry if the scope and fee is approved and paid for. That's what it is. What is not utilized, if an inspection isn't needed, you get that money back. But regardless, there's going to be somebody there. And I can tell you it's very, very difficult for me to spend an entire day on one site with all of the obligations that I have to 70,000 eyes, 35,000 residents.
Yeah, no, I'm okay from that perspective. I'm just trying to understand is, so since the site is pretty dry, but of course, nobody can predict if we are going to, right before we are going to do the installation, we're going to hit 5 inches of rain. But if we do by that, I'm not the contractor. I guess they have the right to move on, or they can wait to let the weather dry out. But that's hard to predict. So we can agree to get the funding, but so hopefully it's a 50-50. Hopefully we hit a dry weather and not need it, rather than need it not there. So
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine with that.
Okay, I think we've reached a consensus on this. Can we go on to the last one? So hydrant and water service installation, sewer infrastructure installation and testing. And Shang's comments were that these two tasks should be removed as they will not be done by Beta. But to that point, Mike Maglio did request additional water and sewer oversight, correct?
Yes. So he requested that the scope and fee be amended to include inspection of water and sewer infrastructure.
Right.
I can.
Okay, and that's from the town engineer, Shang.
Just so I'm not lying, or we know I'm not lying.
No. Yeah, most of the work I understand is requested. We understand, not just me. So it's from the town engineer, and so I just want to be a little bit clear, because that's what in the scope of work from Beta, I say those are the ones will be done by the town. And so therefore, if the engineer have some amended, we haven't seen that. I just want to understand what he is requesting regarding which part of the water and sewer inspection. So laying the pipes, or which part of it I'm just trying to understand what he's requesting.
John, I think that's to you.
Could you repeat that question to Shang, please?
And I said that, so basically the 7 and 8 was just originally a reference to your proposal. It will be done by the town DPW water and sewer department, especially to testing the pipes, make sure it's airtight, So those, I understand that's the town's job, and that's what referenced in your footnotes. And that's why we feel if that's a town going to do, we can take it out of it. And I was understand from Brickerline that Michael amended his request for some additional water and sewer infrastructure supervision time, and I just like to understand what the scope, because I haven't seen that request until I just heard it. So just want to understand what is the detail the town engineers requesting Beta to assist for supervision.
So that would be a question to the town engineer. We would work and inspect at his direction. So he would clarify with us what he feels is appropriate for standard number of site visits that might consist of based on what his staff has done in the past, and we would run with that assumption.
Hey, John, can I ask a quick question? Doesn't Beta typically do the stormwater third-party inspection on behalf of the Planning and Zoning Board?
Yes,
I think
that's correct.
I think that's what's getting confusing here to Shang, is most of the time you would see Beta Beta would still be involved, but Beta would come at this via the P&Z. But since it's not before them, it's coming through us. And we also have some jurisdiction over stormwater. So it's not common for it to come through conservation, but it is possible. And it really is no different end result, I don't think, here. It's just coming through a different channel within the town.
Right.
Does that kind of sum it up, Brigalai and John, I think?
Yeah. So there wouldn't be another scope prepared, issued by another municipal body. It would just be this.
Yeah, 100%.
So there are footnotes in the original scope. You know, there are high level tasks like the HDP drainage pipe installation, hydrant and water service installation, and then there are footnotes below there for that. So then construction observations up to 74 visits. I want to point that out. It's up to. And then any of this money that's not spent is returned.
So some of the, and I apologize as a thing. So I missed some of discussions. So from my comments, so which ones, so I understand that for wetland crossing, I have no problem, agreed. So just for the general site inspection, this site is not that as complicated, except that the wetland crossing area, I have been visited the site, though it's probably at this about half a dozen times now. The perimeter erosion control, exactly as we agreed, and so we installed it, and any broken one, even due to the tree limbs knocking the fence off the stake, they put it back, and in the phase one area, they put up check dams around the site. So so far I haven't seen any significant sediment, except a couple of spots at the very beginning had a little bit silt, probably in like 5 square feet, and they cleaned up right away. Other than that, I don't see any significant erosion control issues there. So I mean, I just feel it's a 40B project, so, and try to make it a little bit affordable, as well as the process for monitoring it and supervising it. We have fulfilled almost every aspect of the order of conditions so far as required. So I just sending in the wetland application. You will see, I'm not trying to boast in that here, but I would like you put an eye on that. The wetland application, you will see it would be one of the best I have. You will see replication success. I can guarantee that from my experience. So all the plants are planted and 10 trees saved, and the 3 clustered winterberries are saved and the transplanted. Everything is thriving. So you can check it out. So I just trying to see what is the best over. As we all understand this committee, so we want to make it reasonable and a win-win-win situation, assurance of the performance, at the same time as cost-effective as possible for building affordable housing for the community. So we will be open for some.
Shane, let me just so since you missed the very beginning of this, let me just walk through the 1 through 10 just to summarize basically where I think we are right now. Okay. Mm-hmm. And also, again, I want to underscore the fact that this is it, right? There's you're not going before planning, so it's just through the commission. So again, it's unusual for us to have a greater scope, but we do because there is nothing else besides this. And I just need you to keep that in mind, please. So when we looked at number 1, the point about having the applicant has their inspector working, right? And also our issue there was basically applicant bias, basically. I mean, we're not saying that anybody would do that, but we've seen that in the past. And so we would feel more comfortable if we had third party. That's why that's there. The 2, we basically just went through that analysis and clarified what is and is not in scope. 3 and 4, again, this was basically having the ability to have third-party oversight, which we would feel more comfortable with, right? And then 5 and 6 are basically the move the design insurance, but right, basically, again, these are the reason why we have these, because of the surface water, the surface infiltration, are largely because, again, we don't have planning oversight, so we include those there. 7 is okay. 8, I think we've clarified that, and then 9 and 10 were specifically kept in because of Mike Maglio's insistence on having these additions. So, I mean, we've kind of gone through all of these, and for the most part, I think that we're asking pretty much to keep most of these with the beta oversight. I'd like to ask the rest of the commissioners whether or not they have other comments or other opinions about this or about the discussion that we've just had.
You know, I think it's fair asked by Deshang, and certainly a good conversation, but I think the reason we have third-party oversight is Briegel Eye's limited ability to do this kind of work for every applicant, and the fact that, we do need a bit of guaranteed, I guess, impartiality on site there. So I'm in support of having Beta handle this work, and I think it's the right move. I think good conversation and clarification, though, for Deshang.
Any other comments or opinions?
I agree. I agree with, we've talked it. I agree with Mark.
So the recommendation then is that the applicant pay the provided scope for the scope and fees and adhere to the scope as has been laid out with Beta. Unless Briegel Eye, you have any other additional add-ons?
Nope, just that a check can be made out to the town of Franklin, sent to my office.
I guess I do have a question. This is Michael.
Yep.
So I'm looking at like number 3, planning and establishment of the wetland replication area. Do we generally, with other projects, oversee that during the planning and establishment?
Yeah, the commission has required historically. There are some, you actually had Lenore. Lenore did it quite a bit.
Sorry.
Yep. So that is, in collaboration with me as well. But it's not unlike what the commission has required historically.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right.
I just have one clarification based on the email Briegel Eye brought up from Mike Maglio. For items 2.9 and 2.10, so was he looking for something, additional there or different? I just wasn't clear on that.
I think maybe he was just reiterating the need for it.
Okay.
So one thing he'd like to include to the commission, because the red line was sent out.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So I think
Thank
he
you.
was, yeah.
Deshang, you have some additional comments?
Yeah, that's again, this is about the wetland replication. Definitely, that's not. I understand that it's within the conservation's jurisdiction. And at this point, I know. Well, I understand. So if the trip it doesn't need because Briegel Eye has already covered the pre-construction meetings and the walk the line. So I don't think that's needed. And the wetland replication is in because technically. I just feel even though you do that, but I just honest opinion. So it doesn't take in that much effort because there's a design plan, there's specifying species, what need to be planted there, how many. So that's very easy to count, and we are providing our report, and we require years of success monitoring and the replacement, not the town or the town's peer reviewer. I don't really see. So that seems like to me is quite redundant, to be honest. So, but anyhow, this is just my opinion because at the end of the year too, if it doesn't succeed, so the applicant has to replace it or whatever have to do. So that's the procedure. I understand from all my career, 30 years of working in this field. So,
I really don't mean to split hairs, and I know we're getting late, and I think we have a decision. But just for the record, I want to correct that the wetland replication area has been excavated. It is not finished, so it won't be finished because it's a part of phasing. So, and to be fair, it did need some adjustment after my first inspection on it. So I would still recommend the commission approve the scope and fee as provided.
I agree.
I agree.
And unless there's any further discussion, I think we should take a vote on approving the scope and fee as provided. I'll take a motion.
We have a motion to approve the scope and fee as provided.
Second.
Okay, Roger?
Approve.
Nicole?
Approve?
Mark?
Vote to approve.
Mike?
Approve.
Richard?
Vote to approve.
And Jeff approves. Okay, sound of gavel. Everyone votes to approve the scope and fee for the Franklin Heights. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And one last thing on the agenda, one very last thing is the minutes. I did read them. I did not have any changes. Did anyone have any changes to the minutes?
Oh, that's good.
Okay, then I'll take a motion to approve the minutes for July 25th.
Give you a motion to approve the minutes for July 25th, 2024.
Second that.
Okay, Roger?
Approve.
Nicole?
Approve?
Mark?
Vote to approve.
Mike?
Approve.
Richard?
Vote to approve.
And I vote to approve. Sound of gavel. The minutes are approved. Thank you. And let's,
Any updates?
There's just a few updates.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Okay, so Friends of Franklin Conservation on August 17th, next Saturday from 8 to 12. Michaela, she's our summer volunteer. She will be, she's hosting an event to pull vegetation, invasive species vegetation. If any of you, I will not unfortunately be in attendance, but I did want to let you know, specifically Nicole, for beverages, she did ask if we could buy things that's reimbursable. So anything purchased, please just give me the receipt. You'll have to fill out a W-2, but that's reimbursable to you. Master plan, no update. Master plan liaison, no update. Natural resources, no update. CRWA, no update. But yep.
Good. I'm saying Mac.
I was going to say Mac update. We have update.
Yep.
Go for it, Jeff.
One update. Okay, so we pretty much have. So we had a meeting yesterday on the finalization of the program for the annual meeting. It's pretty much done. We have all the speakers set. We do have a slot the first day in the morning, and right now I've got 4 people: myself, Nicole. I'm sorry. Was it who else was it? Richard. Richard. And Rico I. So we got 4 people, and at some point we got to get together and talk about what of the huge number of things that we have to talk about do we actually want to cover, and how do we want to parse those out, right?
Okay.
And so Rico and I have talked a little bit about how we sort of want to I would say cast it, right? Like sort of like the overall theme, if you will, right? But we haven't really talked about specifically what elements we want to talk about, although we have plenty. So at some point, I think 4 of us should get together in the same room someplace. If there ever is a room,
Yeah.
right? And so
Chambers is done. Chambers is done. They just don't have furniture. But
so if we bring benches,
well,
we bring our own chair.
Sure council will have chairs by next Wednesday, even if it's not the new furniture. So I think we could be in person August 22nd if that works.
Please,
not the
this is horrible. This is
awful.
Yeah,
I'll bring a stadium chair.
Yeah,
I got a real good beach chair that works very good.
Yeah, like that with a thing and like a cup holder. Yeah, that'd be very
exactly.
That would be hysterical. Yeah.
It was said to get benches in the peanut gallery so people can have a better tomato throwing range.
That's funny. That's funny.
Anyways, okay, continue, Jeff. I can send out an email to us.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So one thing, just really quick, guys. Something that's come up again and again and again, and it's starting to get away from us. Materials on time. We talked about materials on time in the pregame. So here's the deal. Several times over the last 15 years, people getting stuff in on time so it can be reviewed, be there by the agent or by us, has slipped and slipped and slipped and slipped, and we've always had to then come back and lock it down. And we're kind of to the same thing again. Even though right now we have been having the couple past agendas have been light. That's true, but I'm really worried that if we don't lock this down now, we're going to get into the fall. We're going to get into next spring, and it's going to get crazy again. But people are coming in and throwing things across the transom at the last moment, and we have to put a kibosh on this. We just have to, and we have to have a line in the sand. So we wanted to talk. Rika and I talked at the pregame what that might mean given, the restrictions we're under and what we need to adhere to in terms of law, et cetera, et cetera. And we felt that that materials had to be in, and I think we agreed 1 week. 1 week.
I would say that's at the most conservative. I was thinking about it a bit more. Not that I would ever advocate we're planning board. No disrespect to planning board.
Yeah.
But they do schedule out a month. So they skip the middle meeting for projects. So I had been thinking about it a bit more, and I was thinking, well, okay, let's say we had a public hearing today and they needed to provide a lot of information. It's unlikely they're going to get it by next Thursday. They're probably going to get it let's say August 19th, right? And then we're going to have a meeting August 22nd. So at that point, but when we get it August 19th and then it gets to beta and beta has to review it, we're already at August 26th. And then at that point, the next meeting is September 5th.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to pitch that idea. I think going back to the week is fine. The week functions so long that anything submitted after Thursday does not exist.
Right.
That's the only way that functions.
No, believe me, that's what's going to happen, because that's, again, this is like the fourth time I've gone through this. This is like deja vu all over again, okay? So, and we've always gone back, and it's always been a week, and we said, that's it. And it's been that way until it starts to slip, and then it gets slippy, and people are starting coming in like the day before and saying, "Oh, we got this one thing, and it's just a little thing, but it's one thing." No, okay, we can't do this. It's not fair. It's not fair to the staff.
Will help with the agent report.
Yeah.
Because if I don't have to consider anything after Thursday, then that's it.
All right. Here's the deal, guys. We don't have an actual rule. And we don't have an actual posting. So what I'm saying is that we finally actually do that. We actually have a rule and we have a posting, and it's on the website and it's on everything else and it's on the forms and whatever the hell that people actually look at. And that's it, right? You have to have
capital letters in red on the first page.
It is posted in our filing schedule deadlines. So we do have it posted.
It's got to be
but I don't enforce it. It's the thing.
It's like when you go up to the register to check out and you have the big yellow sign, like no credit cards ever accepted anywhere, right? Okay. We have to have something like that. Right?
Okay. You need something, you got to get their attention.
You got it.
Right between the eyes with a 2x4.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's true because people, it's like, I forgot the one form.
Yeah. It would be appreciated.
No, we've got to. It's not fair. Not with everything else going on. Okay. So, anyway, so that was my proposal. Unless anyone has an objection, I think
it's a good idea.
Start adhering to 1 week. So we'll say close of business 1 week prior, right?
Right.
Fine.
Okay. Specifically, close of business, COB, 1 week prior.
I like it.
I do have to say our schedule is already posted for this year and it says noon. But when I'm drafting next year's schedule, it can be close of business.
Okay, noon is fine. Noon, but whatever works for you. Okay. But there has to be a date and a time. That's it.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff.
Right. Okay. I don't have anything else. Anybody else has anything? No?
Good idea.
Okay. And Brika, I owe you 2 letters. I know.
Yep. That's okay.
All right.
Don't forget to come in and sign things.
Yes, we have things to sign, yes?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, put that in the calendar.
Yep. Okay, and hopefully we'll be in chambers again next, 2 weeks' time.
That'd
Yes.
be nice.
Okay, thank you. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I did have one other one. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Louis Puga, our new commissioner, gets appointed next Wednesday. So
All
if
right.
you have nothing to do, early Wednesday at 7 p.m. Appointments are usually right at the beginning of council. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend. I try to make it to all the appointees. So if somebody from Concom could be there to silently cheer for him, that would be great.
I'll go into chambers. I'll right before they do this, I'll walk up to them and go, "Are you sure?"
Yep.
Okay. All right.
All right.
With that, I'll take a vote to vote to end the meeting. Close the meeting.
I'll give you a motion to end the meeting.
Okay.
Second that.
Okay. Undebatable. Yeah.
Well,
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks,
you, everybody.
guys. See you
Bye.
later.
Rika,
Recording stopped.
has stopped.
I have Nancy Danello
Yep.
keeps sending me